Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. 14. Together. Karakanyupamritnati vidya buddhir oshare iti tat satyamadaya karma kartum vyavasyati. All the factors involved in what we call action, starting with actor, acted upon, subject, object, instrument of action. I built a house. How? With hammer, chisel, etc. Mortar, cement mixer, cement bricks, wood, all these things become instruments. Why did you build this house? For the sake of living there. Purpose of action. From where did you get the materials? Oh, they are all imported materials. Not from around here. The origin of the action. So, who else is going to live here? Oh, my relatives, my friends, my dog, my cat. You can say so many things. 6th case. So where is this house located? In Pennsylvania. You see? Location. Locative case. These are all called the factors of action. And the factors of action they are all mithya. Mithya means dependent reality. They are all mithya, the karta, starting with the karta, the I as the doer. The notion of I as the doer is also what? Mithya, dependent reality. But somehow, all these factors of action are dependent upon the karta. Karta is the one that is there. Karta, karta, karta. So without there being a karta, can there be an object? No, there cannot be an object without the subject. No subject, no object. I built the house. I am the karta. Using what tools? You can't ask if the I itself is not there, and then there will not be any house, and then you can't ask the other questions. 3rd case questions you cannot ask. 4th case questions you cannot ask. For what purpose have you built the house? What house? There is no house. It's not in anybody's name. That Nami is not there. That Nama is not there. The one in whose name the house stands or the mortgage is not there. So the karta is the placeholder which holds is the clip which holds together all the karakas, factors of action. And just like when there is water cognition, where on dry arid land in a sand bed there is water cognition. Water buddhi, buddhi here doesn't mean thinking, cognition. Water perception, water cognition on dry land. Then what happens? You go close, examine, what do you see? It is not water at all. It is a mithya water. This is an empirical example. So empirically speaking also, we have these misperceptions all the time. We perceive water when it is not there. And if you're really hungry, I'm told that everybody starts to look like pakodas, samosas, because one is really famished. So everything, and including people that you see, look like food. And so you see this in the comics usually. And so this is the kind of a Brahma we are talking about. So the Jala Buddhi gives way to, what is that? Ushara Jnanam. Jala Buddhi, the misperception of the water, the cognition or the miscognition of the water, where as though superimposed upon that dry land where there is not even a drop of water. Upon examination, how? Closely. That's why upamridnati, upamardhanam. So then when upon close examination, the Jala Buddhi gives way to what? Ushara Buddhi. Ushara Buddhi. Ushara Buddhi, same. Ushara Buddhi means the right cognition of the dry land. And in the same way, the Karaka Buddhi, that there are so many factors in action, there is a multiplicity of things involved in action, like actor, instrument, object, subject, purpose of action, origin of action, location of action, and other sahakaris, other things which the actor possesses. All this is involved in action. This Buddhi, the Karaka, Karaka is Satya, is real. Iti Buddhi is replaced immediately upon close examination of the eye. How? In the light of the Shastra. In the light of Vedanta Shastra, which declares the eye to be free of doership. If the eye is free of being karta, then all the other accoutrements or the factors of action do not come into the picture at all. So just like the Jala Buddhi, water Buddhi gave way to sand Buddhi or dry land Buddhi. Similarly, the Karaka Buddhi, what is the Karaka Buddhi? That there are many factors involved in action, gives way to what? Gives way to Akarta iti Buddhi, Vidya Buddhi, the correct absolute cognition of the I as totally free of anything. No karakas there. Did you understand the example and the exemplified? Is that clear? Yeah. So this is a very important verse, because here he is not just refuting jnana karma samuchaya, he is also giving the vision of Vedanta. That is why all these verses are Vishwatomukha. Vishwatomukha means they do many things. They are not just refuting this. That is how a seasoned Vedantin like Adi Shankara is able to write. Not just refuting jnana and karma can coexist. Not even in your dreams, he says, but while refuting the Purva Pakshi, he also makes an important unfoldment of the vision of no division. And the no division starts with the reconfiguration of myself as akarta, from doer to non-doer. How do I go from being a doer to non-doer? It is all cognitive. I understand that this concept of doership, the I is free of. Why? Because in sleep, even the greatest doer, what do they do in sleep? Other than snoring, which is not an action. Now the satsang question will come. Isn't snoring an action? You said in sleep there is no action. So, other than snoring and turning around in bed, that's different. That's all involuntary action. That way, even people who are dead bodies also have movements, because there are certain gases moving. Suddenly, especially if it's very difficult for the family members, especially if the person is brain dead and they are waiting for the relatives to come or waiting for the organs to be harvested, and the person goes through involuntary, the body attached to the ventilator goes through involuntary movements. It's called the Lazarus effect or something like that. It's a medical thing because of certain gases moving and in the body. So the limbs start to involuntarily move. But that you cannot call action. Why? The person is not even there in the body in order to be able to make that decision and move. So same thing, in the sleep also, one is as good as dead to kartritvam. One is not alive to the misnotion, missed understanding or misunderstanding of oneself as karta. This mistake doesn't take place in sleep. If kartritvam is intrinsic to the Atma, I, then it should, even in sleep I should become what? Karta. Even in sleep, all the karakas should be there. Nothing is there in sleep. When a child goes to sleep, before it goes to sleep, it will say, I cannot sleep without my teddy bear. It will hold the teddy bear, clutch it tightly and go to sleep. And after that what? Leaves it. You can take it, it will not wake up at all. So there is no kartritvam in sleep. This vyabhichara, this contradiction itself is enough to let us know a very, very important fact that this doership is incidental to Atma, not intrinsic to the I. It's an incidental morphing of the doership where the Atma lends its presence to the concept of doer. When the ahankara comes, swoops in and says, I am the doer, identifies with the doer. This is the problem. So doership is not intrinsic to Atma. Experiencer, the status of experiencer is again not intrinsic to Atma. And so therefore, these are all incidental as though superimpositions upon the I that is free of kartritva, bhoktritva, buddhi. Then, this much if it is understood, then we can go further. In number 15, he sums up this jnana karma samuchchayavada and puts the argument in the dustbin. Let us see how he does that. Viruddhatvat atashakyam karma kartunna vidyaya sahaivam vidusha tasmat karma heyam mumukshuna. Yeah. One thing I forgot to say here, it's a small, it's a semantic thing here in the second line. Iti tat satyam adaya. Could be a double meaning there. And depending on how we take the meaning, there could be a question mark, a rhetorical question at the end of the sentence, or there need not be a question mark and it could just be a statement. I'll explain how. Iti tat satyam. Tat satyam means if that reality has been accepted, adaya, having accepted that reality. Which reality? Are we talking of karaka or are we talking of jalabuddhi? Jalabuddhi's satyatvam, or are we talking of ushara buddhi's satyatvam? What are we talking about? We don't know. That's why, because that tat is a little, we don't know what this that refers to. If the that refers to the absolute reality of the I as free of factors involved in action, then that would mean the absolute Sat. Taking this Sat to be myself, then karma kartum vyavasyati. You can have a kind of an intonation of a question. Who in their right mind will think of themselves as karta? That is one understanding. But iti tat satyamadaya, meaning taking the jala buddhi alone or its corollary, whatever is exemplified, the darshtanta means taking oneself to be mired in the reality of karakas, non-reality of karakas, the factors in action, then only when one takes oneself to be the doer, and then after that what becomes the done in. I am first the doer and then I am done in by other people's omissions and commissions. First I have regrets because I don't like my own omissions and commissions, much less other people's omissions and commissions. And so this doership, thinking this to be the satyam of myself, having accepted that, only then I can go forth and engage in activity, not otherwise. Meaning, if one has already the knowledge I am akarta, then kimartham kasya kamaya shariram anusanjvaret. The morning, what is that quotation from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, about which there are 297 verses in Panchadashi chapter 7. Amazing, really. How much he has milked this verse. It is just absolutely phenomenal. Swamini. And so here, why? If I know myself to be free of all accoutrements of doing, and if I know myself to not be the doer, doer is a status that is incidental to the Atma. It comes and goes, but Atma is not involved in this doing, and Atma is not a doer. Doer, the status of doer is not outside of the Atma. The status of doer depends upon the Atma to be blessed by it in order to the Karta to shine. When I, for example, wrongly claim myself, Aham Karta, Aham Bhokta, what is it that I know? I know. How is it that I know? I know because the Atma is shining the light on my very misidentification of myself as the doer. In a way, the Atma is just shining, blessing this doership by shining the light. It's kind of like the sunlight. Because you can't fight with the Atma and say, why are you shining the light on Kartritvam when I have to give this up? Not fair. Don't shine the light on my doership. You cannot say that. It's like the sun. The sun shines uniformly everywhere, does it not? If under one tree there is a group of people chanting the Rudram, the sun is shining on that. Underneath another tree, there is a nefarious group of people, shifty-eyed and whispering. How to rob a bank. They are having their own class. How to rob a bank. How to not get caught while robbing a bank. Does the sun shine on them? Yes. Does the sun shine more on the people studying the Bhagavad Gita or chanting Rudram or chanting mantras? No. Does the sun shine any less on these nefarious, good-for-nothing fellows sitting under another tree? No. Just like the sun brings everything to light, the light of the Atma alone brings even this Kartritva Buddhi. In other words, Jala Buddhi where Jala is not. That is the idea. Water Buddhi where water doesn't exist. Kartritva Buddhi, I am Karta where I am Karta doesn't exist. It just brings this identification to light without really being involved in the identification. In other words, the identification is not outside of the I, but the I transcends the identification. And so, if we look at the word Tat as Jala Buddhi, then we can say, because of this ignorance, karma kartum vyavasyati. The person then starts to perform the karma. This is the basis for performance of karma. If we take the word Tat in the second line as the Karaka Upamardana Buddhi, where the Karaka has destroyed this Buddhi, then we take it as a rhetorical question. Kim karma kartum vyavasyati? Can this person even perform karma? Like that. So I had forgotten to mention that, so I had to revisit that verse. Now we'll look at 15. Viruddhatvat, because of its oppositional status. Ataha, therefore, because of its oppositional status, karma kartum na vidyaya. Karma kartum na vidyaya. Because of its oppositional status, it is not possible for a jnani to do karma. So it's not possible. Sahaivam, meaning it is not, saha means along with. Along with vidya, karma cannot go. For the person who has atma jnanam, they don't go together. And here we can say, we can divide the world into three. People who are not interested in Vedanta at all. Why? Because they are not adhikaris. Who are they? Just regular people who are mired in do worship. Then there are people who are adhikaris, and they are jnani wannabes, meaning they want to be a jnani and they are studying, or at least interested in studying, committing or interested in committing to Vedanta Shastra, adhikarinaha. And then finally there are jnanis. Who will do the karma? Who will be interested in karma and jnanam at the same time? The one who doesn't know anything at all. Because they are still floundering, they are still searching, they are still seeking. And if you don't know what you are seeking, then naturally you will be seeking the wrong thing. So all these people seeking the wrong thing, and then they will just, if you give them this jnana karma samuchaya argument on the plate, little bit of samsara, little bit of moksha. You need both. Yeah, they will say. Everything in moderation, everything in balance, you can do this. Okay? Then the middle people, the people who know better, they are what? Jignasus, mumukshus, wannabe jnanis. They want to be a jnani. They are on their way to knowing. They are in the process of removing atma ajnanam. How? By attending classes, by committing to a program of study. They are interested in this. And then finally, jnani who knows I am not a karta. So Shankara says here that out of these three, only the ajnani, or the one who is an anadhikari, meaning not an adhikari, will buy this karma jnanam argument, because they neither know karma nor do they know jnanam. Somehow they are just leading their lives, and poor things, they don't know Vedanta, they don't know karma yoga, they don't know atma jnanam. And if you present this argument to them, they will say yes, because this is also okay, that is also okay. It's human nature to accommodate and compromise. Everybody generally is conflict averse. So they will say, yeah, okay, I'll give this a try. But what about the other two? Jnani, of course, belongs to a different category. The jnani and karma don't go together at all. We have been seeing this. And the Bhagavad Gita also talks about this in a very intriguing way. Kim karma kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha. Kavayaha means duradarshis, people who are far-sighted, scholars, sages, even they are deluded. What is karma? What is not karma? Nobody can tell. What is karma? Nobody can tell. What is not karma? Akarma is what? Karma is what? And then, to make matters even more intriguing, another related verse says, Karmani akarma yaf pashyet, akarmani cha karmayah, sabuddhiman manushyeshu, sayuktaha, sakritsna karma kritu. The one who sees action in inaction. Did you understand? Yeah. Action in inaction. And the one who sees inaction in action. If the head is not spinning, then something is wrong. Okay, so by this time one should be utterly confused. That is the whole idea. One who sees action in non-action and in non-action sees action, that is the most intelligent of human beings. The one who is put together, and the one who is kritsna karma krit, means whatever they came to accomplish in this world they have gained, meaning they are a jnani. So such verses also make this very, very clear that the jnani and karma do not go together at all. So kim karma, kim akarma. What is so? If see, the thing is, if you are a jnani, then what do? I just sit in one place. Sitting in one place is an action. No, I kind of nod off and go to sleep. Nodding and going to sleep is what? Action. And the story that is told is the story of Lord Krishna sitting on the banks of the Yamuna. The gopis come and they just come and they just dance, sing. He has a good time. They have a good time. And then they say, okay, it's time to go home. Suddenly there is a flash flood. Yamuna is in spate. And then they say, please help. You are the Lord. After all, help us to help this river which is in a big flood to part and let us pass through. He says on one condition. What? You see on the other side, there is a sage sitting. Maybe Sandipani sage sitting. Go take some nice food for him. Sandipani sage was known to be a foodie, loved to eat. Go there. Yes, we'll go there. We have plenty of food at home. We'll take some for him. After, just help to let us cross. We'll go there. He says, you have to chant a mantra for the Yamuna to part. Okay, we'll chant a mantra. What mantra is we have to chant? Go to Mother Yamuna, go to the bank and say, if Krishna is a Nitya Brahmachari, meaning has not even thought of women and is a lifelong celibate, may the rivers open up the way for us to walk through. They all laugh. They say, you are lying. This is a total lie. Why? You just pinched my cheek and you just pulled my sari. Another one says, you flirted with me. You whispered sweet nothings. And now you are saying what? If Krishna is a Nitya Brahmachari, you don't even qualify B for Brahmachari, let alone the rest of the words. We are not saying this mantra. It won't even work. Suit yourself, ladies. I don't mind you being here at all. No, we have to go home. Okay, chant the mantra then. Very half-heartedly, non-believingly, they rolled their eyes and said, if Krishna is a Nitya Brahmachari, may the river part. And the river parted. River parted. Relieved, surprised but relieved, they went. They go and they take the food from their house and they have to again go to the other side of the river and feed the sage. Sage, he does not even leave one grain of rice from whatever they have brought. Everything. And he burps in satisfaction. In India, burping is a compliment to the chef. Okay? Yeah, it's not seen as some kind of a intestinal distress. So, in America, if you burp, they will not only impolite, but everybody thinks you should go to the doctor. Something is wrong. So, but India, we have a different set of non-rules, I suppose. And then so they feed the sage, and then after that same problem, the water is in spate again. They go to the sage and say, please give us a mantra, please, pretty, please give us a mantra. We can't cross the river. We can't be here. We need to go to our homes. The sage says, I'll give you a mantra. If the sage has not eaten a single morsel of food, may the rivers part. They said, what? You are worse than Krishna. You just ate a whole lot of stuff. I fed you this dish, one said. The other one said, I fed you twice. And you finished all the tiffin. We have these tiffin carriers, In fact, the word tiffin is so nice. Everybody should understand. Everybody should use it also. Tiffin is neither what? Breakfast, nor is it lunch, nor is it brunch, nor is it dinner. What is it? Tiffin. It is something you eat in the middle of the day. Like a snack, but a very heavy snack. It's tiffin. And so that tiffin is put in a carrier. It's a steel thing with a nice contraption. It's got some wings that come out and these fold like that, and there is a little clip. And so there are 2-3 containers. And so the gopis say, come on, Rishi, we have fed you. You have finished all these tiffin carriers. And how can you say you haven't eaten a morsel? They said, and the sage says, it's time for me to sleep. I don't want you hanging around here. Say the mantra and get out of here. Again, half-heartedly they say, if the sage hasn't eaten a single morsel of food, even as he is burping in the background, and may the Yamuna open up. And lo and behold, what happens? The Yamuna opens up. Karmani akarma yaha pashyet. The one who sees inaction in action. The one who sees action in non-action and non-action in action. This is an example of non-action in action. What is an example of action in non-action? That's another way to look at it. Non-action, action in non-action, like supposing if you're going in a boat, sometimes in the train or in a boat, and then if you're going in a train and then there is another train over there, that's also moving. You don't know whether you are moving or not moving. You think you are stationary and that is moving. So you're going in a boat and all the scenery is moving. So in the beginning, what do you say? The scenery is moving, the trees are moving, the people are getting smaller and smaller. Everything is moving. But actually what? You are moving. But you think of yourself as stationary, but the rest of the world is moving. That is the example. So like this jnanam, when the knowledge of the self as I is there, the karta is falsified. That doesn't mean that the karma is not taking place. The jnani eats, drinks, sleeps. And this is also talked about in the Bhagavad Gita very beautifully. Pashyan, shrinvan, swapan, shwasan, pralapan, visrujan, grinhan, unmishan, nimishan, api. Navadvare pure dehi, naiva kurvan, nakarayan. So, seeing, hearing, eating, drinking, breathing, opening the eyes, closing the eyes, all of this is done by the indweller of this 9-gated citadel. What is this citadel? This city in which I live. It is more like a fortress because I can't come out of it. The fortress with 9 gates. This 9-gated city is my abode, and then there, when I have this knowledge, eating, I'm as though eating. Drinking, I'm as though drinking. Running, I'm as though running. Everything I'm as though doing because I am firmly abiding in the unmoving, non-doing I as the truth of myself. Sukham aste. This indweller sits happily without doing anything and then in full knowledge of itself, as lending its presence and its shine to the so-called doer, which is a projection of the I, a temporary status of the I, from which the I is totally free. Just like if you're sitting quietly under a tree, the sun shines on you, and if somebody else is also sitting and then planning to rob a bank, very actively sitting there under the tree, making lots of plans, the sun shines on them too. Similarly, the Atma reveals the Karta as a projection. The Atma reveals or brings to light the Bhokta. Now, one very important but very basic rule, which I think is worth underscoring, is that the revealer and the revealed do not occupy or cannot belong to the same order of reality. Revealer Satyam, revealed Mithya. The revealer is a self-conscious Satchidananda, self-conscious, existent being, revealer. And the revealed is what? Finite, inert, finite, and an object. Revealer, what's the opposite of inert? Earth. No. Sentient, conscious, existent, the source of all existence, and infinite. So the revealer and the revealed cannot occupy the same order of reality. This has to be underscored and understood. And if this is understood, then we can say revealer, the content of the revealer is Satyam. Revealed is Mithya. For the purpose of this example. Then later we will say that which is revealed is non-separate from the revealer, and then both are the content of the revealer, the content of the revealed are one and same consciousness, morphing as the revealer, which is a status, and morphing as the revealed, which is again a status, a projection on the I, which is ultimately neither revealer nor revealed. This is a particular contextual argument. Okay? Yeah. So this we have to bear in mind. And don't get confused, because this is just like saying Sakshi and Sakshya. Sakshi, witness. Sakshya, object of that which is witnessed. Object. So now, when am I the witness? I am called the witness in relation to something that is to be witnessed. In sleep, am I the witness? No. Sakshita, in the sleep, also is resolved, because there is nothing to witness. And so again, if I am the revealer, then in sleep what am I revealing? Only Ajnanam I am revealing, nothing else. I am not revealing anything in particular. And so that this revealer is more not an action by the I, but more the nature of the I. The sentient nature of the I is called revealer, because any word we use comes up short. Because it is beyond description, because it is not an object, it is I. So when I say revealer, it is just like saying the sun shines. The word shines is a verb or not? Yes, it is a verb technically, but shining is the nature of the sun, it's not a verb, really speaking. So similarly here, revealer is the nature of the I, it's not an action. So here, concluding this particular section, he says, Viruddhatvat. So because there is a contradiction between vidya, knowledge, and action. Knowledge and action cannot go together. Therefore, this is not possible for the one who is either a jignasu or a mumukshu to perform action at the same time as they pursue the knowledge, because the two are incompatible. Here, mind you, a very big caveat, we are not talking about karma yoga. Karma yoga is where I have already renounced the results of action. And so when I have renounced the results of action, I am just doing the action for the sake of growth, inner growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth. I have already let go of the outcome. So there is already a sannyasa there, a kind of a letting go is already in place. So karma yoga, or the pujas which I do from the standpoint of for growing as a mumukshu, as a jignasu, is not included in this discussion. Kamya karma and nitya karma for the sake of results, result-oriented karma, and what else? Automatic karma, because one becomes an automatic karta. You get up and what is the first thought? What do I have to do today? This is the automatic karta. Which day is it? Oh, Saturday, Sunday, okay. But then if it is not Saturday, Sunday, you wake up with a kind of a start. You wake up with the start, and then what do you say? OMG, what do I have to do today? Where do I have to go? Places to go, people to see, things to do. It becomes very, very frightening. And so this doership wakes up with you, really speaking. And so that is what is being talked about here. That automatic doership and that attachment to the status of the doer, not attachment, the better word is identification to the status of doer, is not compatible with the pursuit of self-knowledge. Until, and this is all described in the introductory bhashya of the Aitareya Upanishad. Worth looking into. Very beautifully it is described. Adi Shankara himself talks about it. But here, the doer and the knower of the I are not compatible with one another. The doing has to drop. Either cognitively it has to drop, or it has to drop through knowledge. And until that happens, the Vedanta Shastra, even if they are attending the retreats, the Vedanta Shastra will not go in. Why? Because there is a block. Most of the day, what am I saying? I am a karta, I am karta, I am karta, kartaham, 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 kartaham. When 1 hour Vedanta class, akarta, how is it going to stick? It's not going to stick. Because the orientation and the reality that I am giving to the idea, to the wrong idea that I am intrinsically speaking, I am a doer, is what is being talked about here. That has to drop. By who? That's given in the second line. Vidusha. Vidusha. Vidwan. Vidwan means the one who knows. I'm not, the one who knows I'm not a karta, the one who knows I am Satchidanandam Brahma. By that person, the karma must be given up. And then, what about the mumukshu? Mumukshuna cha. Mumukshuna, by the mumukshu also, the karmas have to drop. Not even the karmas, the thought or the identification with the karta, with the doer. That I am a doer, this is the notion that has to come to an end. Otherwise, nothing, no progress is there. The jnani, after getting jnanam, what will the karma do? Nothing. Therefore, there is no karma there. And whatever the jnani does, it is as though. Just like all the examples we have seen. It's as though doing, and then the person is doing. You don't have to, what is that? Adopt some kind of a funny vocabulary, which is done sometimes by the rishis and the sadhus. So some of these sadhus, they want to not be associated with doers. And so they will have funny responses. Maharaj ji, when did you come? They'll say, this came yesterday. When are you going? Babaji, when are you going? This is going to go day after tomorrow. Have you eaten, Maharaj ji? This is very hungry, So you don't have to adopt refer to yourself in the third person or adopt some kind of a funny language. Because even when you say I, you know what you are talking about. You know that it is falsified. It's a badhita I. It's a I that is stripped clean of the identification with doership. You can say, I went, I'm coming back. But you know that that's not what you mean. You know that. You don't have to have some kind of a funny vocabulary. Already when you study Vedanta, your friend's circle gets less and less. You get invited to fewer and fewer potlucks because you insist on sharing what you know. Yeah. They just want you to bring chole. That's all. Yeah. They just want you to bring a pot of chole and just mingle and talk about real estate, stocks, clothes, and these kinds of things. What the children are doing, and did they get married or not, or which marriage are they into right now. All these they want to talk about. And you want to say, oh, Harsha Vidya, so many Swamis, so many retreats, so nice. And Atma is one. We are one with everything. Shut up, We have come here to have a good time, not listen to your pravachans, not listen to your discourse. So already you are being invited to 1 out of 3 potlucks, okay? Before you were invited to all of them. Now you are only invited to 1/4 of the potlucks as before. And then you start talking, this came, this went, that's eating, this is drinking. You go like this. No friends, okay? Even in the ashram, people will slowly back away. Okay, tathastu. Even in our own ashram, because nobody talks like this. If you start talking like this, slowly they will back away. Yeah. And even one friend that you made will just not be anywhere in sight. Where are they? They ducked behind the bush because they saw you coming. Okay? So therefore, it is you don't mix up the levels of reality. The Paramarthika is here. Cognitively, I'm free. I don't have to show it off. Cognitively, I'm not a doer, I know that. Even though I may be doing many things, I may be handling many things. Look at Pujya Swamiji's life, how much he did. And that kind of a doing is possible only when I know I'm not a doer. It's just happening and I am in the flow. That's all it is. So it says Vedanta is a silent affair. You don't put a board, a placard on the neck, I am a jnani. You don't do that. It's a quiet affair. It's an inside job. There is nothing to advertise. It's just like when you throw away your garbage. Lots of garbage piling. And that's why you have a big dustbin. They don't call it dustbin here. Trash can. Yeah, trash can. You have a huge trash can. Then you have to drag it to the street, or you have to take the bag and put it somewhere in a, what is that called, dumpster. When you go to take this big bag of garbage that you can barely carry to the dumpster, Do you call the press? Do you call all the reporters? Please, come one, come all. Look at me throwing away the garbage. So much garbage I'm throwing. In fact, you are ashamed that you have created so much garbage in this day of the talk of climate change and all these things, carbon footprint and all these things. And you are very conscious. You just threw away one more bag just 3 days ago. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why do I consume so much? Why do I throw so many things away? In fact, I'm slightly disgusted with myself. So when you go to throw away the garbage, what do? You look to the left, look to the right quickly. You go at twilight. See, all the Vedantic stories are set in twilight. You go at twilight because you don't want to bump into things or you don't want to fall into the dumpster. So you take care, go at twilight and don't tell anybody. You just throw quickly and come away. Atma-jnanam is throwing a lot of garbage away. That's what it is. It's not something to advertise. This is a natural progression of one's growth. And what is in that garbage bag? What is in that garbage bag is a lot of wrong notions, wrong identifications, wrong ideas about the world, about myself, about Ishvara, God, about everything. Wrong ideas. And these wrong ideas are thrown away, happily thrown away. And in fact, you don't want people to see you because you don't want people to know how much nonsense that you had identified as the I. It's a quiet affair. There's nothing to advertise. So that's why eating, drinking, seeing, thinking, feeling, doing, one is not really doing. And here the advice is, even the jignasu, even the person who is in this knowledge, who is studying this knowledge, must be what? Must refrain from getting involved in too much kartritvam. Must refrain, must drop the doership, must strive to falsify the doership in the wake of knowledge. Then of course the next question, how do I do that? How do I do that? How do I falsify doership? The conscious falsification of doership is directly connected to the dropping of seeking validation. There is a very direct concomitant relationship. As long as I want to be validated, I can't drop the doership. It's a fact. I want to be noticed. I want to be validated. I want to be approvable, especially by people in authority. Why? Because the original people in authority, who were they? Primary caregivers, did not do their job, or so I thought. Maybe they did their job, but it wasn't good enough for me. So the whole life goes with me as still being and behaving like a truncated child, like a mutant ninja, offensive and defensive. And then what? Seeking approval from various people. And this seeking approval is a very dangerous thing for a mumukshu, for a jignasu. Very dangerous. And I'll tell you why. Because of 2-3 reasons. The first reason is because the seeking of approval is a frozen need. It's frozen. Because the approval is not needed right now. Right now you are a wonderful person. You are doing what you need to do. You are able to take care of yourself. You have certain skill sets. Okay, you may not know everything, but you know how to lead your life. You don't need to be approved. But the need for approval belongs to a truncated 2-year-old that didn't get it. It's not in real time approval you want. You want that little being to be approved. And you keep one keeps bringing out that little being seeking approval. And then what happens? Let's say somebody is very generous, they give approval. Is it enough? No. No matter how much approval you seek from how many ever sources of authority, it will never ever be enough. Because one is a validation junkie, it's an addiction. It morphs into an addiction. So therefore, no matter how much approval you seek, it's not enough. Besides, for a jignasu, the first thing the jignasu is taught is that the self is already approvable. Therefore, you don't need approval. And why this becomes dangerous is because no matter how much approval one gets, it's never enough. And the approval seeking is a big deterrent to the study and the assimilation of Vedanta. That is why until and unless the approval seeking is dropped, then no progress, inner progress takes place. That is how to falsify doership. Start doing things anonymously as much as possible. Don't say, I am about to do, now I am doing this, now I have done this, how did I do? Stages of approval seeking. And even then it doesn't stop. Yesterday, how I did that? Yeah, it was good, no? This is how it is. It's an addiction. It's very sad. And it's a universal addiction. This is what is ajnanam. This is a morphing of the ajnanam. So the dropping of the approval seeking. So let us begin by cultivating anonymity in our actions. When the other person doesn't even know I have done it, then what's the fun of doing it? Because there is a deeper level of satisfaction available if one is ready for it. Not only there is a deeper level of satisfaction, but there is also a growth that happens. So the falsification of the karta is the function, is the duty of the mumukshu, so that one does not become addicted to kartritvam, to doership, and then one then grieves because nobody approved of whatever I have done. This is the essence of verse number 15. Then verse number 16 says, until what time the karma lasts, it talks about. Let us chant that. Dehadyair avisheshena Dehino grahanam nijam Praninam tadavidyotham Tavat karma vidhir bhavet Dehadyair avisheshena Dehino grahanam nijam Praninam tadavidyotham Tavat karma vidhir bhavet. So karma vidhihi tavat bhavet. The injunctions and the prohibitions, authoritative injunctions and the prohibitions in the Vedas, Vedic vidhis, are operative. Tavat karma vidhihi bhavet, are operative for only so long. How long? Dehadi avisheshena. Dehadyaihi avisheshena. Dehadhyaihi means by the body, etc. Etc. means mind, senses, everything. By the body, mind, sense complex, avisheshena, without an exception, avisheshena, then dehinaha, for the indweller. Here it is not Atma, here it is the Jiva that's identified with the body. For the Jiva, by the body mind sense complex, grahanam nijam, the Jiva is possessed by the body mind sense complex, pun intended. It's a very interesting way to put it. It's not saying that the Jiva is identified with the body mind sense complex. The Jiva is what? Possessed, totally possessed by the body mind sense complex, caught, grahanam nijam. That the Jiva is caught by the identification with the body mind sense complex is universally true. Nijam. And then what else? Praninam tad avidyotham. So, how does this, what is the cause of this wrong identification with the body, etc.? Body means including doership. For all the beings, pranis, all the beings, including not just human beings, all the beings. Tad avidyotham. It rises through what? Avidya. Because of avidya, the identification with the body, mind, sense complex, doership and experiencership, etc. This is why it exists. And as long as there is identification with the body, mind, sense complex, until then the karma of the Veda, the injunctions and prohibitions that are given in the Veda, until then they are operative. As soon as I say, I am not this sum total of the body, mind, sense complex, I bless the body, mind, sense complex by lending my presence and my sentience. I bless this body. When I say that, the karmas are not for me. The karmas that are given in the first portion of the Vedas are no longer applicable to me with the rise of self-knowledge. So as long as the, what is that called, the avidya, ignorance is in operation, then what happens? All these karmas also are applicable. That's how it is. The karmas are applicable as long as ignorance is in place. Ignorance is in place, there will be desires, and when desires are there, what will happen? Then I'll want to do something to fulfill the desire, and the Gita and the Veda, all these things say, do this, do that. Get up, fight Arjuna, because the desires have not gone. Action is there when there is desire. Desire is given rise to by what? Ignorance, self-ignorance. And as long as self-ignorance is in charge, it is in operation, so long do I have the karmas operate. In other words, the first portion of the Veda has an expiry date. Just like the milk on the fridge shelf has an expiry date. It's just like that. And then, after the expiry date, that milk is no longer drinkable. Similarly, these karmas also curdle after the person gains Atmajnanam. They are no longer applicable. You don't even see them. Why are they no longer applicable? Come at 7 a.m. and find out tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, you can, people want yoga at 10:30. Is that yes, no, maybe? Yeah? Okay. Few people want. What was that? Hour, 1 hour. Yeah. Okay. Do it at 10:30. I don't have a problem. Yes. I'll come there.